In Ironton, the sheriff and some others were arrested, and it's the talk of the town. Police officers protect and keep people safe. Some police officers have abused their power and committed crimes. They harm innocent people and manipulate the court system. They were caught and are now in prison for their actions. Watch us explore the 10 corrupt police officers who went to jail. Daniel Holtzclaw is number 1. Daniel Holtzclaw is a former American police officer born on December 10, 1986. He was convicted of rape and other sexual crimes while working for the Oklahoma City Police Department in December 2015. Holtzclaw was caught for sexual abuse during a traffic stop. It led to an investigation that found ongoing mistreatment for several months. 13 women accused Holtzclaw. The women said Holtzclaw scared and controlled them in similar ways. The courtroom was tense as Daniel Holtzclaw, a former police officer, waited for his sentence. Holtzclaw got 263 years in jail for 18 charges. He cried and trembled, waiting for what would happen to him. Holtzclaw was convicted of 18 charges. Holtzclaw, a police officer, used his position to get information on victims for sexual purposes. The defense questioned the victims' integrity during cross-examination by bringing up their criminal history. Some of the women who accused Holtzclaw had criminal records and were African American. Prosecutors said Holtzclaw chose his victims intentionally. Holtzclaw's case raised ethical questions about police's role in society. Police officers are public servants who protect and serve communities. Abusing authority hurts people and reduces trust in law enforcement. 2. David Carrick. David Carrick, a police officer, has been sentenced to life in prison for raping, assaulting, and causing harm to 12 women. He met some of them online and intimidated them into silence. Carrick admitted to 85 serious crimes, such as rape, sexual assault, false imprisonment, and controlling behavior. He even locked women in small cabinets and treated them like dogs by whistling at them. The officer who was supposed to protect Parliament and diplomatic buildings will be sentenced to 30 years in prison for committing crimes for 17 years. The police missed many clues about his dangerous behavior. Carrick was in court for misusing his power against women. The judge told him he was a bad example. His victims were there in person and on video. Carrick was sent to prison after a woman reported that he had attacked her in October 2021. He had pleaded guilty to 85 serious offenses, including 48 rapes. More victims testified in court that they were too scared to report the Met officer who was recently sentenced for the murder of Sarah Everard. Carrick, a police officer, abused his power and broke his promise to protect the public, causing a lot of damage. Carrick needs to spend 32 more years in prison before he can be considered for parole. Carrick wore a dark gray jacket and tie and looked at the judge. He lowered his eyes to the floor as she listed his offenses. He had no expression on his face. 3. Wayne Couzens. Wayne Couzens was a former police officer who served for almost 10 years. He was in the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Command while detained. David Carrick worked in the same unit. The police officers committed crimes against women. He was found guilty of sexually assaulting, kidnapping, and murdering Sarah Everard in March 2021. Couzens kidnapped Everard in South London. Everard was in a forest in Kent. The case sparked anger and protests in the UK about violence against women. Couzens was caught when Everard disappeared. He admitted to all 3 charges in his trial held in September and October 2021. He kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and murdered Everard using his police training and equipment like handcuffs and a police ID. Couzens got a life sentence in December 2021 and won't be released. The judge betrayed public trust and police personnel. He showed no remorse. Everard's family and anti-violence against women activists praised the court's decision to impose a whole life order for murder cases where no minimum term is specified. Couzens raised concerns about violence against women in the UK, starting a debate about police treatment of women. 4. Kenneth Blue. Kenneth Blue, a former cop, did bad things that surprised the community and other cops. Blue committed a terrible crime by killing Jennifer Webb, who was pregnant and 32 years old. He convinced Webb to meet him at a specific place to talk. Blue supposedly shot and left Webb. Someone found Webb's body and called 911. Blue was identified as a suspect based on evidence found at the crime scene, including a bullet casing and a tire trail. Also, a cellmate of Blue claimed that Blue confessed to the crime. The prosecution showed many pieces of evidence against Blue during the trial, including DNA evidence that proved he was the father of Webb's baby. Defense claims Blue was not mentally fit during the murder. He was found guilty of first-degree murder by the jury. Blue got life in jail without parole for Jennifer Webb's justice. Blue was a police officer who committed a crime and covered up an affair. What he did affected Jennifer Webb, her family, the town, and law enforcement's reputation. Blue's sentencing gave closure to the victims, but also highlighted the need for better monitoring and accountability for police officers. 5. Michael Dotro. Michael Dotro was a police officer in Edison, New Jersey. Dotro was praised for working hard and being dedicated to the community. He had a good career, but it ended when he was charged with crimes. Dotro's legal issues got worse when he harassed his ex-girlfriend and made false police reports against her. He misused his cop position to harass and scare her and put a tracker on her car. He was accused of stalking, lying to the police, and stealing the computer. Dotro pleaded guilty in 2017 to conspiracy to commit official misconduct and arson. His wife called him a monster. The prosecutors dropped the other accusations against him. Michael Dotro got 20 years in jail for setting fire to his boss's house while they were sleeping inside. Dotro showed no emotion when the judge gave the verdict. He didn't say sorry to Captain Mark Anderko's family, who had to run away from the fire. He showed no regret for tampering with the witness or causing other officers to lose their jobs. Dotro appeared cold and unemotional during his sentencing, showing that he did not feel remorse for his serious crimes. Dotro didn't speak in court while the prosecutor, police chief, and Anderko's wife were present. He has to spend 17 years in jail before he can be considered for parole. 6. David Oliver. David Oliver, a former police chief, was found guilty of assault, unlawful restraint, attempted theft, and unauthorized use of property in January 2016. He got 2 years of probation and had to give up his Ohio police officer certificate. David Oliver is a police chief who gained a lot of followers on Facebook by posting funny and conservative messages. He did this for 10 years and now has 177,000 followers. The chief stopped having outbursts a few weeks after the December 2014 report. Oliver quit due to post-traumatic stress disorder, a day before his 2-week suspension was supposed to start. The township has a new chief and changed management, but Officer Crystal Casterline hasn't been seen. Casterline accuses Oliver of civil assault, wrongful restraint, battery, and sexual harassment. She says the township violated her rights, didn't supervise well, and caused her to lose time with her child. Oliver pleaded guilty to all charges after a year and a half of divorce and child custody struggle, despite disputing many claims against him. Oliver was angry when he heard the accusations against him, but he admitted to them. The judge called him the mope, which was ironic because he used to call criminals mopes on Facebook. 7. Zachary Wester. Zachary Wester, a former sheriff's deputy in Jackson County, Florida, kept a terrible secret. He got addicted to his power and started misusing it, which surprised his colleagues and the community. He was convicted of many crimes including racketeering, misconduct, perjury, forgery, and drug possession. FDL found that Wester often searched cars illegally, put drugs on drivers, and arrested them on fake charges. He also wrote fake reports to hide what he did. Wester stole money from the drivers he caught. Wester was found to have behaved wrongly in some cases. He wrongfully arrested at least 12 motorists on drug charges. Wester was caught on camera planting drugs in a woman's car. He arrested a man for having a syringe in his truck, thinking it had drugs, but it turned out to be drug-free. Wester got fired as a deputy sheriff in August 2019. He was arrested in July 2020 for many crimes, including racketeering, governmental misconduct, forging evidence, wrongful detention, and narcotics possession. He was charged with perjury for lying during a custody hearing in 2018. Wester was found guilty of 19 charges out of 67, including racketeering, misconduct, forgery, false imprisonment, and drug possession. He got 12 years in jail and was ordered to pay reparations to his victims in July 2021. 8. Aaron Dean. Aaron Dean was a cop who killed Tatiana Jefferson while she was playing video games with her nephew. He was found guilty of manslaughter in 2019. Dean went to Jefferson's house after a neighbor called a non-emergency number at 2 a.m. report open front door. Dean didn't speak when he was arrested after the verdict. Psychologist Kyle Clayton said Dean is not fit to be a police officer due to his narcissistic personality style that would affect his judgment. The jury took 13 hours to decide that Dean was guilty of manslaughter, not murder. He won't get a life sentence. Dean could get 20 years in jail for manslaughter. Prosecutors wanted the longest sentence for him. The 2019 incident caused worldwide criticism and led to demands for police responsibility and racial justice in law enforcement. 9. Dennis Perkins. Dennis Perkins, a former Louisiana cop, was found guilty of sexually abusing kids. Abuse was found in 2017 when a victim told a school counselor, who then told the police. Perkins was arrested for 60 counts of child sexual assault in August 2017. The victim spoke in court about the abuse by Perkins. The prosecution showed text messages and images to support the victim's claims. Perkins said the claims were a conspiracy against him, and the victims were brainwashed to lie. The judge sentenced him to 100 years in jail with no chance of release. Perkins worked for 3 different law enforcement agencies. People worried about him working in law enforcement after being convicted of misbehavior. Perkins's wife Cynthia was arrested for obstructing justice. She was accused of trying to scare a witness by paying a victim to take back their evidence. Cynthia Perkins admitted guilt and got 41 years in jail. Roy Oliver is number 10. Roy Oliver was a Texas police officer. Oliver responded to a 911 call about a big party with drunk underage kids on May 5, 2017. Cops heard gunshots and people panicked. Oliver shot at a car 3 times. Jordan Edwards, a 15-year-old black teen in the front seat, died in the incident. The young person was not armed and had 2 siblings and friends in the car. A 16-year-old boy was driving the car with Edwards. He was taken into police custody for questioning as a witness. Police said there was a fight with a car that was driving aggressively towards them. The police chief watched the body camera footage and agreed that the car was driving away from the officers, not towards them. Oliver was fired from the police service in May 2017. Oliver was accused and a warrant was issued. He turned himself in to the police and was released after paying a $300,000 bond. The trial started in August 2018 after being delayed twice. He killed Edwards and got 15 years in prison. His lawyers tried to challenge his guilty verdict, but in August 2020, the 5th Court of Appeals in Texas rejected his case and upheld both the conviction and sentence. Oliver can't apply for parole before 2026. Thanks for tuning in. Watch our other videos for good content.